What does that say about you as a leader?
It says that when I find something, I take immediate action.
It took 6 months, though.
Birds of a feather flock together, and the corrupt Corpo Dems are no different. Francesca Hong's opponent had a major setback after fraud was discovered on her campaign, highlighting the major difference between their candidates and ours. We have integrity. She's going to have a hell of a time keeping the voters' confidence after having to fire her own campaign manager.
I will tell you that when you work with somebody for as long as I have, it was an enormous shock that this happened. And it took me a little while to believe that these reports were erroneous. But once I was able to look within the system, to look within the bank accounts, to look at the reports that were filed, it was clear that these were egregiously in error and that she needed to be let go. But it is a breach of trust, and it's a breach of trust of myself, and it's a breach of trust of my supporters who are standing here with me today. And that's why I had to make sure that I went as quickly as possible to terminate her as campaign manager.
Yikes. You'd hope someone running for governor would have a better judge of character than that. Not only is this a massive blow to her image, but it's likely to set her campaign back a ton as we move into the endgame. And from the sounds of things on the ground, this might be enough to give Francesca a major leg up.
This is really a big blow for Rodriguez's campaign because her path was to show strength through resources, that she was going to get up on the air with this big media buy, that outside groups are going to get rally behind her in the final weeks. Now the question is, does she have a path to have that happen when you have this kind of a challenge or a problem for your campaign?
A lot of questions there. I'm curious what you're hearing from party insiders there in Madison. This is considered one of the front runners. Two candidates who had dropped out, we'll get to them in just a second, had endorsed her. So how do party insiders now feel about all of this?
You know, I mean, the knives are out. Look, everybody in Madison, for the most part, is kind of lining up behind somebody or thinks there's a person that they like the best. And they're not being kind in what they're saying about Rodriguez's campaign, that this is not a good look for her. Now, this is kind of ultimate insider baseball, right? These are about campaign finance report filings, how your campaign works, you know, who you trust to oversee the books. But it ultimately impacts the public perception of your campaign because, look, the budget is $111 billion, billion with a B.
Right.
Her campaign's $1 million. If you're not keeping tabs on your campaign, how do you keep tabs on the budget?
There isn't much room for mistakes this close to the primary. And in an election cycle where trust and transparency are big issues for voters, Rodriguez tried to make it seem like she's a strong leader who comes clean. But to me, it just reads as a sucker who didn't realize that she was getting played.
This is a major blow to this campaign now, less than a month out from the August primary. Sarah Rodriguez tonight saying her longtime campaign manager double counted some donations, mismanaged finances in what could be a defining moment tonight for this campaign and the Democratic primary for governor. Inside her crowded campaign headquarters in Madison Monday afternoon, a defiant Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez vowing to stay in the Democratic primary for governor, hours after firing her longtime campaign manager. Do you believe she took any of this money, or did this money actually never exist?
We are continuing to review what is going on.
Tonight, ahead of a key financial deadline, Rodriguez says she discovered last week her campaign manager was double counting some contributions, leaving the campaign with hundreds of thousands of dollars less than believed, and now have forwarded the findings to the Wisconsin Ethics Commission.
I trusted her to do the job that I had hired her to do, that she had done for her entire career. And I regret placing my trust in that individual.
What does that say about you as a leader?
It says that when I find something, I take immediate action.
It took 6 months, though, to get to this point.
Because I was continually getting inaccurate reports from my campaign finance. person for my campaign manager.
Rodriguez has widely been considered among the top 3 candidates in the race, alongside Francesca Hong and Mandela Barnes. Tonight, the primary just weeks away, and her opponents blasting the revelations.
If she is the candidate, if she is the nominee for the Democratic Party this fall, we will spend the fall defending her mismanagement and what's gone on this campaign, on the campaign finance issues.
As Francesca Hong puts it here, the voters demand honesty and transparency. And I would go a bit further and say we also demand common sense, a little street knowledge, to know when you're getting scammed. That's one of the hidden benefits of having a working class representative and not a platitude wearing a suit.
The people of Wisconsin are ready for transformative change, and it is the values, the policies, the fights, the revolutions that this coalition has been fighting for to build power for working class, everyday Americans, where everyone belongs, where we have permanent affordability, and we take back power for working class people in changing a rigged economy. Policies like taxing the ultra-rich, taking on the mega corporations, raising the minimum wage. Our minimum wage here in Wisconsin is still $7.25 an hour. We're the only campaign to support a moratorium on the construction of new AI data centers, to fully fund our public school and have free childcare for all, paid leave for all. These are bills that I've introduced that are wildly popular. We know that this is the year of the many and not just the money. Our coalition has knocked tens of thousands of doors. We are a multi-generational, multi-faith, multi-ethnic, multi-racial group of folks who know that it's time for working class people to take back power.
Like AOC, Hong comes from the food industry, and I'd say it's time that we have real folks who understand the value of making a dollar, so that way we're not wasting all of our tax money. Who knows how much is being moved around by the Sarah Rodriguez campaign managers of the world. That's why Doge was so popular with those on the right, and Zoran's Coach is doing so much good work in New York. People are tired of it, and their frustration with the establishment is reflecting in the polls.
My first round knockout, State Representative Francesca Hong gained 61% of the first choice votes. That's a lot.
It is. Marquette Law School poll. We had 14% support for Hong, 11% for Barnes, and then 3% for Crowley and on down. And so if you looked at just among the voters who had made up their minds in that poll, Hong had 40% support among the decided Democratic primary voters.
In all of the newest polling, Francesca is enjoying a nice lead. And with recent blow to their campaign, Sarah Rodriguez is likely to bleed a few points. There is plenty of runway for her opponents to close the race, though, which is why we need to get the word out. You know what they say, always campaign like you're 10 points behind. So if you're in Wisconsin, make sure to support Francesca Hong for governor. And if you're not, there are still ways that you can help make history. With your help, we could be looking at the first Democratic Socialist governor in this country's history. Subscribe to US Democratic Socialists. I'm Tony, and I'll catch you next time.